Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. We're going to talk about 6 arguing tactics that the narcissist loves to use. When we're dealing with our narcissist, it's often difficult to win an argument. Here's why. They will argue in something called bad faith. So we have good faith when we're in the middle of trying to discuss things. It turns into an argument. So we do argue too. But we do it with good faith, where we're trying to get to the bottom of it. We try to listen to their side. We want to share our side, come to some sort of agreement. But the narcissist, they don't care to listen to us. They don't care to understand us. Doesn't mean we have to agree with each other, but at least see what the other person's trying to convey. And they just don't care about that. So when you're arguing with a narcissist, it's really important not to let them feel your anxiety. They feed off of that. And they see it as weakness that they will overpower and try to squash. So it just makes it worse. So they are better at arguing than we are. And that's why we can never really win. You know, they have an excellent memory. So they pull things from their memory to slam us down. They'll nitpick us, they'll put us down just on things that they can remember, our soft spots. So they're not honest with us. So when we're in an argument, it's hard to understand what's even being said. They're full of deceit, they're morally corrupt, and they can be very accusatory of us being dishonest, deceptive, and corrupt morally as well. And it's them projecting on us. And it's really hard to present yourself as who you are when they're putting themselves into your character and cutting you down. And so sometimes we want to defend our character, but then we're also trying to defend our position. And the narcissist often uses word salad. That's another thing they like to do. They'll use nonsense, fallacies, and they are just unable to have mature discussions. They don't know how to resolve conflicts. I told you guys I have a narcissistic neighbor, and I'm not emotionally involved. So we do help each other out. And I had made a video on how there was I had to call 911 because in that childlike state, they're arguing with the teenagers. But I had told him we had dinner tonight. And so he had brought up how it upset him that kind of I got involved. I'm on the phone with 911. He's continuing to try to apologize. And then the neighborhood kids, there's 8 of them. They didn't care. So he just kept talking. But I just want to apologize, but I'm trying to say, and I'm like, stop. And he at dinner was not seeing how it changed the situation as soon as he stopped talking. And I tried to get that point across. I said, I know, but they didn't want to hear anymore. They had made it very clear. And it was just escalating it because they're saying stop and he's continuing. So it's just going to start going. If everybody has to have the last word, it will always continue. So I'm trying to explain it to them, this guy, and he's just not getting it. And I'm trying to make points. I said, they already heard what you said, told you to stop. He's like, oh, wait, they did? They don't even listen to what's going on. And then when you present it, he's like, but all I wanted to do was apologize. And I tried to explain to him that you already did it. And I'm trying to get my point across that it was effective for him to stop. And he still didn't get it. He still did not get it. Because I'm like, didn't they walk away as soon as you stopped talking? And they did. It was almost instant. And it was, I don't know, 20-minute argument, 25 minutes. And it just kept going and going and getting heated. And as soon as he stopped, but he still didn't get it. He still at dinner was trying to explain his position. And they don't process things. He didn't hear the argument from the other side. And when they're in these arguments with people, they'll use different techniques. They think they're being rational, reasonable, correct, just like my pizza buddy they're unable to process things because they're always so wrapped up in who they are, what their side is. And it's okay for them to have their side. I've even acknowledged his side and I understood what he was saying, but he didn't see outside the box. That's how into themselves they are. So they often are unwilling or unable to have mature conversations. So they sometimes get irritated or talking word salads. Often, number three, they will start to be intimidating or bullyish. They'll often provoke other people, and they just feel that it's their right to do that. And just like, I hate to say this, I had mentioned in another video that he does not get that you just don't touch another person. And he was always like, well, this is my house. This is my house. Because his roommate brought some female friends he never met, and he's not getting it. It doesn't matter whose house it is. And so, you know, he had like smacked my butt today, and I'm like, don't. He's like, you know, I'm always going to. And he's like, no, I gotta stop. But it's like he still kind of feels entitled because we've had this talk before. He just doesn't get it. You know, I'm not dating him. He knows I'm not dating him. And some of the things that he says is kind of like an entitlement way, and I just got to keep shutting him down. So be careful in those situations. You know, sometimes it can turn bad. So they love to intimidate. You know, they'll spin things around. They make us feel uncomfortable talking to them, and they can ignore us. So we feel like we're talking to a brick wall. Sometimes we get emotional. They hate that. It irritates them. It continues things even more. So some other things that they'll do is they just love to deny things. They'll change definitions. If you guys have ever experienced that, it's like, are you kidding me? Like, that is not what you meant. And we know that they're twisting it. And they'll often lie. So they sometimes will try to support their lie with lies. And it's just like this delusion in them that they think they're getting away with things, because often they have. They've tricked us so many times, or other people in their outside circles, that they're delusional that all the lies make sense. Sometimes if you guys can comment below, like some of them will blow your mind. Like, are you kidding? How does that make sense? Just like the neighbor. How does that make sense that you can touch somebody inappropriately because it's your house? Somebody you've never met. It's, you know, not appropriate if it was his wife or girlfriend, if it was unwanted, but this is somebody he's never even met. So they'll redefine their narrative to suit their needs. So they'll say one thing, and if we kind of counter it, they'll make it seem like we're the crazy one. I didn't say that. Or they'll say, this is what I meant. You're the crazy one taking it the wrong way. And it's just to justify that they feel that they're in the right. So they'll often do projecting. They'll just deflect and attack. That's a very painful and also common tactic. So this is where they want to shift the attention from the narcissist is saying and doing to what we are saying and doing. So whenever they have to take responsibility for the poor, toxic, destructive behavior, or to address anything we're saying, they bring up something that we don't like, or, you know, instead of addressing the situation at hand, they'll deflect back, go into attack mode. They'll use toxic tactics to shift the tension from themselves and bring up something sometimes off the wall, something that's either true or not true. And often to the degree where they always try to keep us on the defense. So they're in that offensive mode, and they're just in that attack. So it's because when they were growing up, they were in the defense. At this time, they're trying to shift. to rebalance. And unfortunately, we're their victim because we're the closest to them. So with this new supply, now that new supply is the closest, it's just a cycle that's going to repeat and repeat and repeat. So if that narcissist stays with the new supply, it's not going to be happy. It'll probably self-destruct. The narcissists love to self-sabotage, and it's at least going to destroy the relationship. Will they still live together, still be married? Time will tell on that one. But as far as a healthy relationship, new supply or not, it's not going to be good. So, you know, the narcissist doesn't care what we're saying. They just want to dominate and win the argument. They don't even care what it's about. It could be any argument. And if you've ever heard them, they don't back down. You know, narcissists will involve others and act out some revenge fantasy. Sometimes they have a terrible, fragile, extremely fragile ego, a shaky sense of self-esteem. Everything about them is false. It's fake. And if we actually stand up to ourselves, if we don't play the games that these narcissists want us to, they kind of look at it as us being unfair, that we're humiliating or we're being abusive. So in their eyes, we're being unreasonable because we don't acknowledge that they're right. Just like with the neighbor, I didn't say, you're right, you should have kept apologizing 1,000 different times when he said to stop. When it was he didn't even know what he was apologizing for. And it made it even worse because the neighborhood kids knew this was like an empty BS. I'm sorry, man, you know. And his reasonings in his apology, you know, kind of were hitting triggers for the kids. Everybody has different kind of triggers. We never know what somebody's gone through. And so we're dealing with teenagers who already haven't gone through life. The amount of aggression that you felt within them, they probably came from some either, I don't mean poor financially, not unresponsible. I'm going to use the word poor, and it's not financial, a poor upbringing. And maybe it was through school, maybe it was poor interaction at school. Something wasn't good in their lives to have that much aggression. So that's what they're going to react to. So just like the narcissists are reacting to some abuse that they had. And the narcissist gets offensive, they'll feel shame, a narcissistic injury, they might rage out. And be careful during those rages. Try to keep things calm if you have to deal with them. Don't try to over-explain yourself. It's just not even worth it. You know, use the, we'll just agree to disagree. That's a good comment. You can say, I was just trying to tell you how I feel. That's it. It's trying to tell you how you feel. I understand how you feel. You can word it back to them, but to get them to acknowledge what we're trying to say, you know, if I sat down with the pizza guy, my neighbor, and tried to say, okay, well, do you see things from my point of view? Not that you agree with it, but can you put it in your own words? They'll be like, no, you were wrong and you're telling me to do this. And so it's just a waste of energy. So they often will smear, slander, triangulate. They can use gossip. The narcissist sometimes will stalk people. And be careful on that, because some narcissists do get physical. They see us as objects, and they sometimes want that object back, sometimes want to control. It's so weird how it twists, because they don't end relationships. And it always blew my mind with pretty much my second one. I was starting to see like what is going on, because we would have a great time and then ghost, nothing. And then we, you know, got back together, and it was like this stupid cycle, and I was dumb for being caught up in it, but it's just the reality of the situation. And looking back, I was like, whenever I would ask kind of for us to like, are we going forward or are we breaking up? I'd get ghosted instead. It was never a final closure. And it did allow him to come back, whether he hoovered or I reversed hoovered. It left the door open. Plus, sometimes we don't want to let go. And we want to work things out with them. So sometimes we try to pick up manipulation tactics. And this is where human interactions are so odd, is because, we're empathetic people. We're hopefully healthier people, even though we've been kind of damaged right now. But it's sad to say that a lot of the things that we say are, in a sense, kind of even manipulation, which it's not always meant that way, but words can affect, facial expressions can affect people. So even if I could just say, thanks for dinner. That's polite. I acknowledged you. But when I was like, oh, that's so delicious. And how did you do that? And I can't wait to have dinner with you again. And I just want a free meal. Or sometimes I mean it. And then you're more apt to be like, oh, she loves my chicken. I'm going to invite her over, just because this kind of feels good to share that with somebody, to have them like what you achieved, and so whether our compliments are in a narcissistic way manipulative, or in a good way just doing something, it causes a reaction. If I was like, no, that's really good, I just gave you a compliment, but I just affected you because you could tell that I was like, not quite so good. It just causes feelings and emotions, and day to day, how many things we go through to keep the peace. If we don't want to hurt people's feelings either. I don't want to say that was the crappiest meal I ever had, or your chicken was really dry. Sometimes you want to be honest, but if we're, we got to get along in society too, so it's kind of like, if I said, if you asked me, was the chicken kind of dry? And, is it a lie if I try to word salad it, or, oh, it was, I love chicken, it's so healthy, and I try to eat it all the time, and not answering your question. So there are narcissistic traits in everybody, and that's why in life, we're living this life where probably 10-20% of our life is real. Does a person at the gas station, oh, good to see you today, do they really care? Some do, but do they? And that's part of why everybody has baggage, and some of it is how we feel on the inside. Like there are days we have our pretty days, days we have our ugly days. So let's say, kind of having an ugly day today. So, yesterday I felt really beautiful. And, if you were to say, oh, you look great today. And I'd be like, yeah, thanks. But today, let's say you did think I looked really good today. And you're like, another great day for you. You look really good today. And I don't feel it. So in the narcissistic mind, they're going to twist it around where it's like, oh yeah, right. Yeah, right. You're just patronizing me. I don't look good today. And that's where the narcissist is when we're trying to say loving things to them, they revert back to what they feel. Just like me feeling on an ugly day, a compliment doesn't match what I feel. So I bring that compliment down to where I am. And it's like, come on, that doesn't match up. But if I'm in a good mood and you compliment me, it matches up. So the narcissist, when we're trying to love them, they don't feel that they were lovable. And it doesn't match up. The times that it matches up is when it gets argumentative, because that's what they're used to. That's what they feel they deserve. And that's where everything falls apart. You don't want a relationship that is on the bottom of the barrel, especially when you know it was at the top. So they know how to act. They just don't know how to feel. So I think that's a good point to make. So big hugs to you. One-on-ones are available. Please like and subscribe, and topic requests are always welcome. Have an excellent day.